Hi, I'm Tiffany Oshinsky, and this is a bonus episode of Serving Pancakes with League One Volleyball. In honor of Hispanic Heritage Month, we have one of Puerto Rico's most decorated players ever, Daly Santana. Daly is an outside hitter from Corozal, Puerto Rico. She's been part of the Puerto Rican National Team since 2011 and competed in the 2016 Summer Olympics. She played for the University of Minnesota and is an all-around badass. And soon she'll be playing back in the States with LOVB Madison. Today, we're talking about her journey to come play in the U.S. and more. Daly, welcome to Serving Pancakes. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So first, I want to start, where are you located right now? Where are we recording this interview from?
I am in Minneapolis right now. I came to just be around, the volleyball environment and see the Gophers play and just kind of be here as I get ready to head to Madison. So, just a little time for myself and getting ready mentally and physically to do my job well, hopefully.
So we're recording this episode in September, and you were just at the Minnesota-Wisconsin game that Minnesota actually upset Wisconsin in 5 sets, which super exciting. What was it like being back?
Wow, it was really great. It was really great seeing some familiar faces and seeing the team. I don't currently know any of these girls. I saw them when they were really little because some of them are sisters of my former teammates. So it was really surreal to see them competing and being part of the team that I was once part of. And so it's always great to see the border battle. I kind of have to get used to the feeling of I'm on the other side now and we'll see how that goes once we get there. But for now, it was great to watch the game and to see a good volleyball in a great volleyball environment.
And one of your soon-to-be teammates on LOVB Madison, Lauren Carlini, is now an assistant coach at Wisconsin. So did you get to talk to her?
Yes, we talked in the morning before the team had practice, and we talked a little bit before the game as well. And it was just really nice to catch up. We had played together before in Turkey, so it was, really great to see her again after that. And I'm just really excited to have her as a teammate again. I think she's super competitive, and she's always bringing out the best out of her teammates. So I'm really, really excited to be with her again.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Lauren, we had her on the show a few months ago, and she's just such a fun person, amazing personality, and a great volleyball player. So I'm actually a little jealous that you get to play with her.
It could be. I mean, she's amazing. She's the full package. So,
For sure. Well, so, we wanted to have you on because it is Hispanic Heritage Month. It's an important time to celebrate the Hispanic culture. I'm half Mexican, so this is an exciting thing for me to talk about too. But I wanted to talk about you growing up in Puerto Rico. So talk about, how you got into volleyball.
Well, I think I've shared this story before, and it's about me trying every sport and volleyball being such an important sport for Puerto Rico and the only one that I really wanted to go back to, and that I felt like I couldn't live without. So that to me was a clear indication that this was really for me. And I wanted to keep doing it. My mom was also a volleyball athlete until right about college.
Oh, wow.
And fun fact, actually, my whole family comes from music. They're all musicians. And they were you can pick between this or that, sports or music. And I was sports all the way. So we'll see after sports how, maybe I can do a little music thing, but we'll see. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
I have to go on this quick tangent because now I'm fascinated. Do you play instruments? Do you sing? What's your musical gift?
Yeah, it's definitely singing. I think that with my dad, listening to him practice, my dad plays the trumpet. He's been a musician for over 50 years now. And my mom was also a singer, and they were part of the merengue, salsa, all those things in the Puerto Rican and Latino communities culture. And so for me to grow up with that, I really developed a skill for it, listening to my parents practice their music for so many years, and I grew up with it. Although back then I used to think that it was a little bit annoying when I was trying to take a nap and I could just hear the trumpet in the background. But now I can really tell that really helped me develop a skill for music as well. So we'll see in the future.
With you playing, I mean, you've played overseas, you've played, in the US. Do you bring that Puerto Rican music with you as like your pump up music, or is it kind
A
of
little
like,
bit. A little bit, yeah. I mean, we got right now in the past couple of years with Bad Bunny being like a really huge star, like of course we gotta bring some of that. But when it comes to my dad's music as well, there's always like usually around Christmas I get really um like nostalgic a little bit. Like I want to listen to my family. I want to listen to similar music. It's like that's really the time that I want to be close to home, and so I'm always looking for my dad on like Spotify or my mom. They actually have songs in there, so like I just play them, and it makes me feel like I'm back home.
what are their names on there so we can give them some love?
Oh my gosh, my mom used to be on this group called Las Chicas del Clan, and you can find those on Spotify. And then my dad used to be in a lot of groups, but you can find him as Daly Santana y su orquesta, which is there's a lot of music to listen to there.
Amazing. I'm definitely going to check that out for
Yeah.
sure. So with your family being so musical, you wanting to go into sports, you said that they were very supportive about it, but were there any challenges when it came to playing volleyball with your family being so musical?
Yeah, totally. Because I wasn't very good at any sports. I think I was one of those kids that was a little bit like, not a little bit, a lot off balance. Like I couldn't really find my, like, it was really about that, like my balance. And so I was really clumsy for a long time. And like that didn't really help me with the sports. And so that was like that for about 4 years or so. So my parents were like, oh, maybe it's not for you. But I didn't want to stop. So they just kept, bringing me to practice, and eventually it got better. And I'm glad it did, because now I have this, incredible experience and like such a long career already. And I'm excited to even be part of, LOVB, and seeing it come to life in the US is really something that none of us thought could come within like our careers, right? And like in our prime time. So I'm just really honored to be a part of it.
I'm so excited to have you part of it, especially with your career and starting where you did. I mean, going back to when you first started, do you remember the first time you touched a volleyball, what it was like for you? Like, did you have any idea what you were doing?
Not really. My only plan was hit the ball as hard as I could. And like I missed a lot, and that was that. But I just kept trying, and I just really wanted to keep going. I remember this one specific time. It was like back then we used to have courts that were outside, and they were cement courts, kind of like the outdoor basketball courts in like different living communities. No ceiling, no nothing, like it's just open air. And I remember, yeah, I remember there was a time that it was raining, so practice was canceled, and my mom was like, we're not going anywhere. And I just started crying, and I remember that vividly. I'm like, please take me. And she's like, where am I going to take you? The practice is canceled. It's raining, And so like, to me, I just wanted to be playing volleyball all the time. So I'm excited and happy that it had the outcome.
What was volleyball like in Puerto Rico?
Wow. I think it was, and it still is, one of, if not the main sport for girls and women. And there used to be these huge tournaments, weekend tournaments on these courts, right? Where people from young kids to all the way grandparents would go and watch. And actually my grandparents were always going to watch these tournaments, and always going to high school tournaments. And even as a professional, they were like always the first making the lines. And so it's really a sport that is like deeply rooted in our community and in our culture. So it still is like that. And for me to carry that over and kind of represent my country in that way in this stage is really, really cool and really important to me as well.
Now, Puerto Rico has had a professional volleyball league since 1968. Correct me with my pronunciation. It's called Liga de Voleibol Superior Femenino,
Wow.
Femenino, right?
That's perfect. Yeah.
Woo! Or the LVSF I saw, which is a little easier to say.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. That's correct.
Well, a lot of Love players have played professionally in that league. So what has been the public reaction to that league, especially since it's been around for so long? Are there a lot of sponsors? Are there a lot of fans?
Well, there's definitely a lot of fans. It sometimes can get a little spicy with the fans of Puerto Rico. They're really into the sport. They're really passionate about the sport itself. So, you know, when you have teams like, for example, we also have a border battle at the other side of the border. It's called Naranjito. And those are like some of the most passionate, crazy games you'll ever see on the island. And people come, you know, the games are at 7, 8 p.m. People are there from like 3 p.m. just like waiting to be let in and like get a good spot. And like they want to yell and they want to scream and they want to share how they feel about the sport. And so you have to, it's definitely a place where you learn how to be mentally tough, because you have a lot of the fans who, you know, want to really support you, but you also have the other fans from the other team who want to make sure that you know they're there.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it. But it's definitely a very like cool, fun league to play at, and I hope it could keep growing in the future. I definitely think that it needs more support and sponsors and like care. And I think that's going to get there eventually. And I hope that we can make it a league that people and players want to be a part of in the future.
Now, you've also been able to play in other Hispanic countries like Mexico. So how is the sport received there? Is it different or similar to Puerto Rico?
I would say is similar, but it's definitely, I think, a little bit more spread out when it comes to like different sports. Like for us, it's like really all about volleyball, and I definitely feel like in different countries, it's all about different kinds of sports, and the support is kind of like very consistent when it comes to all the sports, which is something I think also Puerto Rico could do better. I think we have a lot of talent and a lot of great athletes from different sports that need to be celebrated and supported. And I think that in the future we should try to be better at that. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yes. Now, did you dream of playing volleyball professionally? Like, did you want to go to college and play? What was kind of the path when you first started playing?
To be quite honest, I wasn't thinking too far ahead. I think to be a player from Puerto Rico and to make it to the United States for college back then used to be a little bit rare. So for me, it was one season at a time. Take it one season at a time. My focus is to get better, to improve my skills, to grow up really, and then let's see where this takes me. And close to my 11th grade, I believe, 10th grade or 11th grade, I had met with a recruiter for Minnesota, and that's when I first started thinking, okay, maybe I can go to college for this sport. That's kind of cool. And to have the opportunity to leave the island and to go to the US and do it, like not that many athletes before me had done, that was very like much an honor for me. So then that happened. And then after college, I was like, wow, like now it's, the door is wide open. Like we'll see how far we can go with this. And here we are.
Did anybody mentor you when it came to trying to play in the U.S. in college?
I would say definitely the coaches that I was working with and the person that recruited me. And also I got a lot of support from my parents and my family and coaches in the island. But I would say there's such a difference with the programs when it comes to university programs within the island or in the U.S. that I needed a little bit more guidance, and that's where the coaches came in. I had at the time Laura Bush who recruited me, and Hugh McCutcheon was coming in for the University of Minnesota in 2012, And the whole coaching staff at the time, they really made sure that I had a place where I was comfortable, that I could be myself, and I could just focus on becoming a better volleyball player.
I mean, you were a stud in Puerto Rico. I mean, you joined the national team when you were 16 years old. Like, that's amazing. So you had to have known at some point, you're like, you know what, this is the place where I should be, right?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, honestly, looking at it backwards, looking at it now, I'm like, wow, I really should have thought about it a little bit more. It was really happening so fast for me. I think within the time I was 16, I was in the national team. I had also played with my first pro team in the island before going to college. And then I was going to college, and then it was also going so fast that I was just like, okay, I guess this is where I'm going. You know, I just didn't give it much thought. I wasn't like trying to understand, okay, like, do I want to go somewhere else? Do I want to do? No, it was like all perfectly lined up. So I was like, yes. And like, I love everything that's happening right now. And I just went with it.
Just curious, because everything did kind of happen so fast.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've talked to a bunch of other players, and they've talked about burnout, because it is something that happens. I burned out when I was a junior in high school too, for a period of time, and I had to take a break.
Mm-hmm.
But did you ever experience that because of everything that was going on?
Yeah, I think a little bit, especially because of travel. Like we would travel with the professional team in the island. We had to go sometimes 2-3 hours away, come back. I had high school the next day in the morning. I used to live really far from the city. It would take me about an hour to get to school every morning. So it was like I had to leave 5-6 a.m. out the door, but I was coming back at like midnight, 1 a.m. So it was a little bit crazy when it came to that. And then when the summers, when students would usually rest, I was part of the national team and then traveling all summer. So it was a little bit too much. But I do think that I paid the price a little bit later in my career. I think I would say 6 to 8 years after, I was like, wow, I really have never stopped for a second and like taken a break. And I was feeling really burned out. And so after the Olympics and after, you know, a couple of years with the national team, I say a couple of years, it really was like 10 years, 10, 12 years.
A lot of years.
I'm like, that's a lot of years. Hold on. I decided, you know, it's better for my health, and with the advice of like the doctors I was working with, that I take the summers to rest and recover. It is important. I think we have sometimes a culture in Puerto Rico where we don't understand that clearly, and the importance of rest and recovery, both mentally and physically, and that leads a lot of athletes to be burned out. And so I had to make that decision in order to be my best self moving forward. And I am, you know, okay with that because I am feeling my best, and I am just becoming a better athlete and a better person.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that you say that, you know, your culture just has this like motion to keep going and just push through and stuff like that. Were there any positives from growing up in Puerto Rico and your culture that helped you as a player?
Yeah, I think in that moment, that felt like a lot of support and a lot of like, you can accomplish anything you want. You can go as far as you want, and like you just have to keep going and keep working and keep pushing. And so I think when you're a kid in that environment, that really helps and is really positive because it helps you develop the mindset of a warrior, almost of a fighter. And so that's what it was for me. I think eventually and at some point that changes a little bit. The dynamic with the sport that we have with the sport changes a little bit as we grow up. And that's okay too. So I think it was necessary for me to go through that, and it has helped me get to where I am today. And I'm excited to see how I can balance that mindset with like a new, more balanced mindset.
Mm-hmm, for sure. You were a warrior, a fighter, and then you became a gopher in Minnesota. So going back to college, when you did come to the U.S.,
Mhm.
what was it like to go from Puerto Rico to Minnesota? Was it a big culture shock for you?
Yes, very much so, especially on the sport because in Puerto Rico growing up, you have a strong arm. That's really all you need. Like
Hmm.
that's like the best thing you can have. Like a strong arm, you're quick, you're powerful. When I came to Minnesota, I was like, wow, you need a lot more. You need to be a more complete player. So I kind of had to change my mindset of like, I need to become more. And that could be sometimes hard when you're a kid. You think what I have is enough, and then you have to become more. And I think that's where the coaching staff at the time did an incredible job. I mean, this program is incredible, and in sharing and helping and like nurturing that mindset of becoming a better player and developing new skills and being okay with that process of change.
Do you have any funny stories or moments from being sort of that fish out of water and coming to Minnesota?
So many. I'm like trying to think of one. Um, I think one of the cute moments when I first got to college, I couldn't speak English too well, and I couldn't say the word turtle, and so that was the joke of
Oh,
an entire year because I couldn't say turtle. So every time my teammates or our athletic trainer, who is actually still here, and asked me the same question a week ago. She's like, "Say turtle." So
oh.
yeah, I looked at her and I said, "I graduated from that already, turtle." So yeah, I think it was just a lot of moments where I couldn't pronunciate a lot of things, and so they became fun memories.
So how did you handle the language barrier?
I had a lot of tutoring. I think also the University of Minnesota has great tutors and academic advisors that really helped um, with the whole stress of trying to figure out college and a new language at the same time. And so I had a lot of tutors before and after practice. And I think in general, my biggest issue was letting go of the fear of speaking out because I didn't know how to say something. Um, I was just trying. And I think that's something I still apply today. I have learned other languages after college. And so I've kind of done the same thing. Just try it out. You know, somebody will correct you or will make fun of you, and then it'll be a funny memory.
You give me inspiration to finally learn Spanish for real after,
Yeah.
5 years in school learning and then
But
not using it.
yeah, yeah.
So you said that there was a difference, in Puerto Rico, you just needed a strong arm and you were, an amazing player. In the US, you need to be more all-around player.
Mhm.
But was there anything in your culture or from growing up that sort of influenced your style of play that you were able to bring to the States?
Mm, I think it was less about skill and more about character
Hmm.
and mindset. When I mentioned that warrior mindset that I needed to have while growing up, that's what helped me also get through college. That was important to me. That I developed a character um, in my younger years that helped me get through the challenges of being, in the Big Ten, in a school that it was highly competitive with teammates that were highly competitive and, a coaching staff that expected a lot of changes and improvements from their athletes. And so I think the character that I showed up with just got better after getting to college. So I'm grateful, very grateful for that.
I love that. Now, your former youth national league teammate, Dalian Liz Rosado, she joined the Gophers in 2014. So when that happened, how, if at all, did that change your experience in Minnesota?
That was great. I mean, I had not. um, spoke in Spanish until she got there. There wasn't a lot of Spanish speaking people at that time in Minnesota, and so it was really nice to have her. We've known each other for since we were like 6 or 7, so we've been in each other's lives for a long time. We're really great friends, and so it was really nice to share college with her and also, the volleyball Gopher program with her.
Did you guys share your culture with your teammates now that you sort of had like a partner in crime?
Yes.
Music, movies, whatever it might be.
Yeah, and also food. Yeah.
All the
time. So it was really fun to see my teammates also meet another Puerto Rican. I think we're all like the same, but also a little bit different, and also we look differently. I think that was something that like another funny story, that like when Daly and Liz came over and they were expecting another Puerto Rican to look like me, but she looks completely different. And like that's the story of like Puerto Ricans in general. We come in every size and color, and that's it. That's our culture. So it was really fun to see and to share that with them.
Amazing. Now, you got to play in the Olympics in 2016, and your team was the first and only team Puerto Rico has sent to the Summer Games. So what did that mean to you?
That was so surreal. I think I'm still trying to figure out what that meant to me because it was such a big deal for our country, for the team. It was something that we didn't know if it could be possible, and that we ended up having the chance to go to that qualifying tournament at home in front of our people, and it was just really fun to live that experience and to be able to represent Puerto Rico at such a big stage and be the first ones to do it. It's like, wow, how do you do that? How do you bring your culture and your volleyball to the Olympics? You have nobody to compare to or to look up to. You kind of have to do it. You're the first to do it. So for us, it was about doing our best, being ourselves, and enjoying every day. And I think that we did that well.
Any memorable moments, whether it was, you with your team outside of the court or on the court, anything fun?
I think we were coming out of the lunch villa that they had for the athletes, and I was walking out next to Serena Williams, and I remember exchanging like maybe 3 words, and that was so much fun because she spoke back to me, and I was like, oh my God, oh my God. And then that was it. That was the moment of the Olympics, and I just remember seeing all these other amazing athletes that, we look up to, and sharing the space with them and the Olympics and the experience with them. It was really cool.
Yeah, I feel like even though I've never been to the Olympics as an athlete and never will be, I still feel like being able to see all these the world's greatest athletes all in one location has got to be one of the coolest things. And as an athlete who gets to walk next to Serena Williams, even if it's mentioning 3 words to her, has got to be something that's going to stick with you forever.
I know, right? We laughed together for 2 seconds.
But it was worth it.
Yeah, right? Like, yeah.
Was your family in Brazil for the Olympics, or were they watching at home in Puerto Rico?
They were watching at home. Yeah, they were watching at home, and it just... I think they would probably be better at explaining what it meant to have our team at the Olympics than any of us. I think we're still kind of in shock and like in awe of the whole experience. I'm just overall really honored to have been a part of that team, and I hope it's not the last time that Puerto Rico goes to the Olympics.
For sure. I feel like with the league, there's so many players that can put together a great national team to go out there.
Right.
Now, in your experience playing overseas and in the U.S., what have you observed when it comes to Hispanics in the sport?
Well, I think that you can spot them anywhere. You'll know right away once you see them. But In general, I think collectively we bring so much talent and value to all these different leagues in the world. Um, we make people curious about our countries, and like they want to know more. They want to know more players from our countries, and I think that's something really important and a responsibility that each of us carry every time we go play in these other countries. We're not only representing ourselves, we're representing all the people before and all the people after. And I think that sometimes, actually all the time, we should remember that we have and we carry that responsibility.
Now, I saw in a study from 2021 that out of all the volleyball players, women volleyball players, only 7% of them are Hispanic. Why do you think that number is so small?
I'm not sure, because there's a lot of us.
I mean, it seems like there's a whole league in Puerto Rico. I don't understand how.
I know. Yeah, so I think that I'm not sure why it happens. I think that there's definitely a lot of talent everywhere. I think it might have to do with how recruiting or scouting has been done in the past. That has not really changed as the years have gone by and as volleyball has changed. And I'm hoping that in the future it gets better, because there's definitely so much more talent to explore and to bring and to share for, into all these other leagues.
What do you think could help to increase the visibility and love of the sport amongst the Hispanic community?
I think that a lot of the tournaments that are held like internationally are usually in the same spots, in the same countries, and in the same cities. I think that if they were to bring them back out to different international countries, like in Latin America, that would increase, obviously, the exposure that these athletes get. Because I remember when I was just joining the national team, and we used to travel a lot every summer to Mexico. We had tournaments in the island, in Puerto Rico. We went to Cuba, Dominican Republic. We went to, all these different countries. And I feel like in the recent years, it's really been the same places, mainly in Asia. And so maybe they brought it back and, back into these Latino countries. That would help.
For sure. Now, outside of volleyball, what are you passionate about?
So many things. So many things. Definitely music is one of them. I think I've had this on and off relationship with music, mainly because I yell a lot when I'm playing volleyball, so I can't really dedicate that much time to music when I'm in season. But I'm hoping that changes after LOVB, and we now get to have an on-season and off-season. I think that's something a little bit rare in the volleyball field. Seasons are usually 8, 9, 10 months long, and I'm excited to see us share that double life of like volleyball and then non-volleyball. So we'll see what kind of structure that takes.
You opened a coffee shop before. Can you talk about that a little bit, and your coffee and why coffee?
Yeah, so my family, and I would say just the Puerto Rican culture in general, is very coffee orientated. We love coffee every morning, every afternoon, 3 times, 4 times a day, doesn't matter. So for me, it was important. I used to live in New York with my husband, and we decided that we wanted to bring Puerto Rican coffee to New York. We wanted to bring Puerto Rican products to New York, desserts and things that weren't as locally known. Because even in Puerto Rico, there's things that we only do during Christmas time, during summertime. And like, we wanted to bring everything at once to the US. And that was really fun. And we don't currently have the coffee shop right now, as in the store itself, but we are planning on still having our business and kind of focusing more on wholesale so that we can share the love even further.
You can bring it to Madison.
Yeah, right? I'm thinking about it.
So let's talk about you going to Madison. So as you said, it's on the other side of the border when it comes to the Minnesota-Wisconsin rivalry. Yep. But how excited are you to be able to finally, come back to the States and play here and experience what is this new league and this new startup?
Yeah, for me, it's a great, great honor to be a part of this league. I mean, it's been talked about long enough. It's been worked on a long time. So for us to be the athletes that get to compete on the first season is really a big deal. I'm still trying to figure out what that means to me as, the first and only Puerto Rican to be part of the league. I also think that's really an important responsibility. And I hope that I can honor the legacy of the players that came before me and that I can represent my country well by adding and contributing to that legacy. And then personally, I hope that I can also continue my legacy and become a better player and help the league be a successful league.
What do your family think?
They're so excited. They're already planning the trips. We have the group chat going. They're like, flights, hotels, this, that, we're coming. So I'm like, yeah, you better hurry because the tickets are selling out already.
I want to hear your dad playing the trumpets from the stands anytime you get an ace or a kill or something.
He will bring it, for sure. He brought it everywhere. I think he's played the trumpet in every country that I've played so far.
Really? He's brought it everywhere?
Mm-hmm. There's videos of him out there. I think the most recent one was in Korea, South Korea, and he was playing it. Mm-hmm. They give him a microphone and everything, so it's a thing.
I love that so much. I cannot wait to watch and to hear this.
Yes. They made it a whole event. They asked us if he could play in the break between sets. And he said yes, and it was a whole event, and it went great. And he added to the list of places he's played.
I love it so much. Well, Daly, thank you so much. I'm so excited to watch you play this season, and thank you again for being on Serving Pancakes.
Thank you for inviting me, and I'll see you soon.
Yes, see you soon.
Okay.
Thanks for watching Serving Pancakes. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. You can also listen to the podcast version on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.